Good.
Spell your name first so everybody knows.
David Olney, O-L-N-E-Y.
And your name.
Sergeant.
Does it come with a specific title with in relation to
I don't know, UAS operator, pilot, operator, doesn't matter.
Sergeant, did you have any interest in this? I know the drones can kind of been in the news here for the past couple of years. Did you have any interest in this? Any hobby before you did?
Actually, I have my own. I've been looking at them for about 3 years, almost 4 years.
So this wasn't a totally new experience for you? You kind of had...
always had a love for aviation, all things aviation. So this was a good natural fit.
We were talking earlier about you've used a drone in the past just to kind of identify things like the river. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the things you've used the drone for already?
For the New York State Police, the program was officially started on January 10th. January 12th, we got called for the flooding in Whitesboro. And we went down in Whitesboro and went to the first ice jam that was at the CSX bridge and did some filming there, and within minutes found another ice jam that was downstream that no one had seen before. So within just a matter of minutes we found a second ice jam.
So I know you've said you had an interest in aviation this whole time. How has it been for you and just in general in getting other officers on board, the training process? How's that all been?
It's all been very interesting and very rewarding. The training for this, to start off with, all of our pilots that we're training or going to train have to come already with their Part 107 UAS, small UAS certificate from the FAA. So what that is, basically, it's almost like your learner's permit. You have to study when you get to take your learner's permit test, and you have to have a basic amount of knowledge to get your learner's permit. So that Part 107 certificate is your learner's permit, basically, to continue on with this. So just that part was really interesting, because things, when we're going through that, there are a lot of things in there that you're thinking that really don't apply to drone use, like weather and mechanics of aviation and reading sectional charts and name it, and really every part of it applies. So that reinforces the importance of the training and the education just to use these.
How do you think this improves your job personally?
This is a huge time factor. It saves a lot of time. It's a safety factor, like you guys were asking about inside. If you had an incident where you could choose between putting a trooper in harm's way or putting a UAS in harm's way, we're going to take the UAS every time. So let me shut this off. You get a UAS in a situation where you have a barricaded subject or somebody who's holed up someplace, and instead of sending our Bearcat or a trooper or a SWORD team in, we're able to get eyes on that person or that scene from above. It changes things for us and makes things safer for us, without question. And then just the time thing, as we talked about inside. If we can clear the scene of a crash that would normally take us 4 or 5 hours to reconstruct, if we can clear it in half that time, that's half the time we're not exposed out on the highway where we run the risk of us getting hit, or a first responder getting hit, or a tow truck driver getting hit. There's also all the people that are out there trying to get home and being inconvenienced on the road. So it just makes it's going to be a time saver for us and for the general public too in that case.
Told you had to do an extra 30 hours in addition to getting your certification. Why the extra time?
Like I said, it's getting your Part 107 and coming to this program with your Part 107. We require that from our future pilots and the pilots we have now, and that's like taking your road test and getting your learner's permit to drive your car. You get your learner's permit to drive your car, you know enough to get in the car and start driving down the road, but you really don't know a lot of the nuances of driving, and this is no different. So we require about 32 hours of training minimum after they come on board, so we can cover all of our procedural things. We can cover all the flight things. To get the Part 107 requires no hands-on with a UAS. It's all learning about sectional charts and weather and all that stuff, but you don't have to actually know how to fly one. So the 32 hours is a lot of hands-on. We start with $50 trainers inside, and if you can fly a $50 trainer inside and not hit people and walls and things, you can fly anything. So we really spent a lot of time working with these trainers to allow us, as you saw the landing on the box there, we have to go through obstacle courses and minimum times and not hit things and be able to land on a briefcase when we get done. And It really hones your skills so that when you fly this thing, these are very safe as far as the GPS. You saw, if I just take my hands off the controller here, they stop. They stay right in place. They won't move. Where the toy ones, you take your hands off the controller, they're going to drift across the room, or somebody walks by, just the breeze from them is going to. So if you learn how to fly them like that. So in our training, those are a lot of things we do. We spend a lot of time hands-on. We spend a lot of time with missions. We spend a lot of time doing things like we'll unplug the monitor. We'll shut off GPS on this aircraft when the thing is 2,500 feet away to show that, the pilot that you can get them back. You can still fly them without GPS. You can still fly them in wind without GPS. So we're able to safely fly these. Yep.
Do you find a lot of troopers now like really interested in the program and want to join too and get on board?
Yeah. Now that we're up and running, we have a lot of interest. Yes.
When you're on a scene, you're the pilot. Do you have any other support team dedicated to just drone operations, observers, things like that?
There are certain times where we always want to try to have a visual observer with us. If you look down at the monitor, it's very possible you look back up and it takes you a minute to find your aircraft. So it's always good to have a visual observer with you. So there are a lot of instances where we're going to fly with a visual observer just for safety. And then there are other things where we want to have somebody to keep people away from us. We believe very strongly in what's called the sterile cockpit. So when we're flying, we don't want people to come up and start talking to us and distracting us. We want to try to keep people away from us. So usually you get a couple people on the ground to help you out in this situation.
Do you have to file a flight plan, or is it VFR? Kind of.
It's all VFR. There's no flight plan. The only thing we may file, depending on where we are and what the situation is, we might file a TFR or a NOTAM or a DROTAM.
So I apologize if this was already asked. There will be a specific trooper assigned to the unit, or is this something that any trooper could?
No, you have to go through this training. So you have to be accepted to be a pilot, and you have to complete our training before you can fly one of these.
Would it be expected that all troopers go through this training?
No, only the ones that have an interest in it and that complete the training.
So a few dedicated per troop.
Yep.
Any cool flight nicknames yet? You guys have Top Gun nicknames yet?
No, not yet.
All right.